The Democrats waste no time with their newfound majority to introduce progressive bills, and Fox News host Tucker Carlson causes an uproar with his statements regarding women making more than men. This is A Better World, and I'm your host, Luis Acevedo. For quite some time, we have heard Democrats complain about the Electoral College and the need for it to be abolished. Well, yesterday, Representative Stephen Cohen introduced two constitutional amendments, one of which aims to do just that. In his office's press release yesterday, it said the following. A senior member of the House Judiciary Committee introduced two constitutional amendments today on the opening day of the new Congress. The first would eliminate the Electoral College and provide the direct election of the President and the Vice President of the United States. The second would limit the presidential pardoning power by prohibiting presidents from pardoning themselves, members of their family, members of their administration, and their campaign staff. Now, we will touch on the latter part in a second. I want to focus on the first constitutional amendment regarding the abolition of the Electoral College. To further strengthen their argument and illustrating why it is necessary for us to abolish the Electoral College, they provide two examples. Those two examples are the 2016 election and the 2000 election. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 2.8 million, and in 2000, Al Gore won the popular vote as well. Therefore, the American people were cheated, being that Hillary Clinton and Al Gore weren't presidents, since a majority of Americans voted for them over Bush and Trump. The Electoral College stifled the American voice. That's their logic. That's what they go off of here. In my view, these two examples that they provided only illustrate one thing, and that is Democrats are sore losers, and they are willing to change the rules of the game to ensure their victory, regardless of the reasoning for the rules in the first place. See, the Electoral College wasn't set up as some cool way to impress certain people. In fact, it was aimed to do the opposite. The founders understood that a popular vote for presidency would create an avenue for mob rule that could overwhelm the country. It's also important to note that they also thought during that time, winning a popular vote would be difficult since communications weren't that great. On top of that, without an electoral college, not only Democrats, but anybody running for office would just have to focus on the largest states with the most population as opposed to the other ones, which tend to lean left anyway, therefore forgetting about the heartland of America, taking them out of the equation entirely. So the left's logic that the Electoral College stifles the American voice actually applies when you enforce a popular vote for presidency, or if you were going to enforce it, then you would actually stifle people who live in Tennessee, in Kentucky, in Nebraska, where they have a smaller population than, let's say, California or New York. What would be the incentive for a presidential candidate to go there? There would be none. It would be a waste of their time, plain and simple. Now, here's another example I can provide you as to why it's important we have Electoral College and we use that system. Bush and Trump both won more states than Al Gore and Hillary Clinton. But Al Gore and Hillary Clinton won more votes. More of America, by and large, wanted Trump and Bush, just not by population, because you can't accurately count that as the American voice. There's more people in California than Ohio. There's more people in Texas than Michigan. It's simple. It doesn't mean that Texans care more about America than people in Michigan. That's asinine. Nobody would ever suggest that. That's essentially what the Democrats are suggesting, though. I think, with that being said, it is sufficient to say that the Electoral College would be a loss for the American people. Now, moving on to the second amendment change regarding reading in on the presidential pardon. I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. However, I don't want anybody to be confused or get the illusion this is a good faith amendment change to regulate the president, because it isn't. This amendment is specifically tailor-made for President Trump. I mean, isn't it convenient that on the same day he introduces this constitutional amendment change, his colleague Brad Sherman introduces articles for impeachment on the grounds of obstruction of justice? So what you're telling me is you have somebody taking away the president's pardoning power, or at least regulating it, and then you have somebody else on your team saying, let's try to get the president impeached. Now we have two people who have proposed articles of impeachment on President Trump. We've seen articles come out last week regarding President Trump being able to leverage the office and getting his kids out of any legal harm whatsoever, and now we have something to combat that. Although it's pretty odd that they're even attempting this, because we seem to forget the Republicans won the Senate during the midterms. We actually gained seats in the midterms, in the Senate, that is. Yes, the Democrats have the House, but Republicans still have the Senate. So trying to pass articles of impeachment and hoping the Senate's going to go through with that, especially since you need 67 votes, is kind of crazy. The only reason they're doing this is to cause waves, get attention, further the division. It's pretty simple. Divide and conquer. That's what's going on right now. And it's a shame the Democrats are holding back no punches on their contempt for the president. They are just purely focused on smearing his presidency into the ground, regardless of all the good things that are going on right now, like the new job report that came out, where we had 312,000 new jobs. The unemployment rate still at 3.9. I understand this can't last forever. We're going to have a crash. That's inevitable. It's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be one of the worst ones we've ever seen in our lifetimes. That could very well be the case. We don't know. But as of right now, the economy seems to be doing well. That could be just an artificial bubble that Trump, something that Trump's just prolonging. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. I'm no economic expert. But bottom line is, Democrats are just doing everything they can to smear the president. The original reason they wanted to impeach him, let's not forget, is for collusion. And what has the Mueller investigation produced? Nothing of value for the left. If nothing else, it has produced a wealth of evidence for the Republicans to conclude it has been a witch hunt. If we just look at Peter Strzok and Lisa Page's text messages, for example, they deleted millions of them. And these two were people talking about doing everything they could to keep the president from winning the presidency. And then they were working on the Mueller investigation until those text messages were made public. And to further illustrate the Democrats' indignation and biasy towards the president, you have the newly elected Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, gave a speech yesterday saying the following, or at least a part of the speech said this: "We're going to go in there and impeach the mother effer." What the hell? That's a horrible attitude to go into Congress with. Why don't you go into Congress thinking that you're going to make some actual changes? And by getting rid of a president that more than half of the country, or at least half of the country, agrees with, is a change you would like to endorse, is kind of stupid. That means you are already positioning yourself to have a large majority of the country to dislike you and show how arrogant you are with your comments. Of course, you can pull up the tapes of Trump calling somebody a mother effing liar during one of his speeches. Fair enough, I get it. There's just not equal coverage when it comes to the mainstream media. I only found this out because of Twitter. There are some places like Huffington Post and other mainstream articles, left-leaning articles, that are supporting what she said. They didn't support when President Trump said that. They said it was unpresidential. But when you get somebody on your side saying these obscenities, it's okay. It's fair game. It's just really sad that rather than working on something productive, they follow through on their postmodernist ideas and do something to deconstruct. Now, speaking of deconstruction, we're going to move over to Fox News host Tucker Carlson and his segment yesterday regarding greed causing corporate greed causing American men to lose their job, leading one to believe that he would be well received by the mainstream media. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. As a matter of fact, they were calling for more advertisers to boycott his show, and even calling him a sexist, a misogynist. If you recall, he already had some advertisers pull from his show due to his comments on immigration. Now, in this segment, he touches on corporations firing American workers and replacing them with foreign workers, the decline in marriage, which is, as we'll see, the big issue the left has with his segment here, and drug and alcohol abuse increasing. Now, at first glance, all of these, without thought, should be a nonpartisan issue, should be something that unites the country, not to divide the country. Well, Carlson went a little too far into the truth when it came to the marriage thing. He said that women who make more than men don't want to marry men who make less than them. And this led to an uproar in the media right here. And this may seem strange to some. It's easy to see why, especially since we have been taught for years that there are no differences between men and women. So, by this logic, a financially successful woman should have no problem supporting a man, being that a financially successful man has no problem supporting a woman. Therefore, Carlson is wrong, and he is just proving that he's against women making more than men, therefore providing sufficient evidence of him being of misogyny. That's the conclusion you would come to by using that chain of logic. Unfortunately, it's a faulty chain of logic because your main premise is completely inaccurate. The reality is there are differences in sexes. One of them have to do with how we look for a partner. Typically speaking, women want a man who are higher on the social status than them, higher in the hierarchy than they are, which, at least in part, explains why women are pickier than men at choosing a partner. Women have a lot to lose in a relationship, more so than men. Us men, we don't have to worry about getting pregnant and being left to take care of the child for 18 years. Us men don't have to worry about being sexually assaulted or raped. These are just a couple examples. Circling back around to the first one, that, in my opinion, appears to be the primary reason why women seek men who are higher up on the hierarchy than they are. That is, it shows the ability to provide, whether it be financially or physically, and to protect her and their potential child, both financially and physically, if need be. And the same holds true for women who have higher IQs. The dating pool is lessened for them as well, because once again, women want somebody who's going to be, typically speaking, want somebody who is at an equal level of them or higher. Plain and simple. You can follow this to height. There was a study conducted on this as well, where women, generally speaking, want a man who's taller than them. How did they figure this out? Well, they looked at a few hundred couples, if not a couple thousand couples, and quite literally found only a handful of them in where the woman was taller than the man. This is something we have to stop doing. Because as humans, we live, we learn, we grow. That's the recipe for success, for humanity. Right now, we're just living without the growing because we're not learning. We're going back in time is what we're doing. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening that are progressive. We have a lot of women, a lot of people of color entering Congress and representing different demographics in America. A beautiful thing. We have poverty decreasing exponentially. More people are dying from obesity than starvation. Not necessarily saying that's a good thing. That's still unhealthy. But point being is that more people have food to eat than they ever did before because dying of starvation was pretty common. Now it's not as common. It is more common to die from obesity because we have an abundance of food. We have a lot of supplies. So while we are making a lot of progress on the grand scale of things, when it comes to the basic fundamental principles that we were able to build, the societies that allow us to further improve, we are trying to do away with those and do a whole new foundation. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't whatsoever. It's like you want to keep your same house, right? You want to keep everything about it, and you just want to keep it there, but you want to completely remove the foundation and try to put a new foundation underneath it while keeping the same structure, while maintaining its structure. It just doesn't work. The integrity of that structure is going to collapse once you remove that foundation, and you're going to have to rebuild the house. That's just common sense, man. And we're trying to do this with our society, and it's a horrible idea. It's not good. We need to wake up and realize that there are some things that you cannot change. Not everything's a social construct. For the left, that's the way they see it. Everything's a social construct. It can be changed if you were just raised in a better environment, if you had better parents, if you had a better education, things would go better for you. That's not the case, necessarily speaking. Do environments help? Of course they do. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make you a better or worse person. It's genetics and environment, maybe some other things as well that I'm not sure of. Bottom line, we need to stop attempting to deconstruct our society and ignore the facts. We have to stop making arguments by calling somebody a name as opposed to providing evidence to actually disprove what they're saying. We don't do that, though. Tucker Carlson was being called a misogynist for literally telling the truth. That's not good. That's the equivalent to book burning. That's what I have for the news today. Hope you all enjoyed it. And we will see you again on Monday. So have a wonderful weekend.